Alright, this is a PSA for anyone who doesn't know how the Dragonsplague works in Dragons Dogma 2. Please watch this video, it's very important. It might ruin some people's experience with the game. There are no story spoilers in this video. This is just for the safety of your playthrough, because this feature for the Dragonsplague can potentially kill everyone in any town that you rest in when the end event triggers. So, in case you didn't know, there is a sickness that your pawns can catch called Dragonsplague that can be caught by hiring a pawn that has the disease already. Usually what happens is, after hiring this pawn, it'll be passed on to your main pawn possibly. Not always, but it'll be passed on to your main pawn, and then said pawn that had it previously before your main pawn is cured of it. It can also be contracted if one of your pawns is picked up by a drake. So if you get into a fight with a drake, I suggest that you probably dismiss the pawn that was picked up, or if it's your main pawn, just throw him into the water and rehire him. It's not too bad. But in the case of this game mechanic, I feel that the symptoms are more important to know than how it's contracted, just so you can catch them early on. Players have reported the signs being when issuing orders and the pawn backtalks the orders. Sometimes, if you're lucky, a pawn will say, "Stay away, I don't feel well." There's a visual marker that's hard to make out, but it's there. Pawns have glowing red eyes that pulses every 4 seconds, and that's how you can tell that they have the disease. I know that a lot of pawns probably have red eyes from the character creator, but this is different. You can tell, even though it's hard to see, if you move your camera towards your pawn's face, you can see that every few seconds their eyes pulse red. This is not seen in the Rift, however. If you hire a pawn with Dragonsplague, you're not going to be able to see their eyes glow in the Rift. It's only afterwards, while you're in game playing. Another pretty obvious sign is when you're idling or standing around, they will do a stunned like animation and hold on to their head. Apparently, this is a speculation symptom. The first time you hire a pawn that has it, a tutorial prompt will appear, and that is like another clear sign that someone has it, but this tutorial will pop up once and will never pop up again if anybody else ever has it in the rest of your playthrough. Another obvious sign is your pawn will turn on you in battle, and if they cast new powerful spells on you or the enemies that you're fighting, it's a sign. The end result of Dragonsplague, this is kind of a spoiler. Like, if you don't want any gameplay mechanics spoiled, don't watch. So the end result is that after a few in-game days, the pawn will turn into some type of shadow dragon. I'm not sure the name of it. It'll show a cutscene when you're resting at an inn or resting at your home in whatever town you're in, and it's not preventable. At that point, it's not preventable. And it'll kill every NPC in whatever town you're resting at, excluding the shop owners, I believe. So as you can see, that's pretty devastating, and you can see how some people's playthroughs might be ruined. But this mechanic, it doesn't necessarily lock you out of the end goal of the game of killing a dragon. It just locks you out of all the meat, like all the middle main story narrative, even though I know it's not that strong in Dragons Dogma, but if you want to experience main story and have the XP and any other side quests, you have to pay attention to this, because it will lock you out of that for the rest of that playthrough unless you go into New Game Plus. Ways to prevent this is to throw your pawns into the water and allow them to die. This is just this is like worst case scenario. Well, not even worst, this is just making sure, like, being super thorough. They can all be picked back up at the Rift. Don't rehire the same ones that you just had, because I don't trust that personally. They could still have the plague and then just pass it back to you. But if your main pawn had it, he'll be cured of it if you throw him into the brine. Another way your pawn is cured is if he is hired by another player and passes it on to their pawn. It's kind of trash, but that's just what it is. Me personally, I would switch out pawns often and just throw my main pawn into the water before resting. If you're like super like anxious about it, because I know this game mechanic can be anxious, but you could also just check your pawns and pay attention. Like after free roaming or doing whatever quest, I suggest looking at your pawn's eyes, especially if you fought a drake and they get picked up by a drake. Look at their eyes, issue commands, see what their response is to your commands, and see what that, if that idling animation where they're stunned and they hold their head, watch out for that while you're standing around. So just like, it's not that hard to pick up, like especially if you're in a town buying stuff, like just do it for a few seconds, check your pawns, see what's up with them, because you do not want all your NPCs to die. Even though if they do die, and this could kind of count as a spoiler, if you haven't reached this secret that they already discussed about in the trailers. So the Sphinx has what is called an eternal wakestone that isn't actually eternal. It's more of an AoE wakestone, I guess. I haven't had it in my playthrough. This is just what I've heard off of Reddit and YouTube. It's an AoE wakestone that can only be used once. And I guess if you go into the morgue after everyone died, you could use it there possibly. Don't quote me on that because I have not used it and I haven't had the Dragonsplague happen to me. I just am trying to prevent it for y'all. But yeah, that can be a possible cure for the post disaster that happens. But yeah guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. I really appreciate all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.